In this video, we're going to give an introduction to React Native. We'll explore what it is, and then show a simple application for ordering pizzas from a class project that demonstrates a few of the key features of React Native. So, React Native is a library based on JavaScript and React that allows you to build native mobile apps, so iOS and Android. This is kind of the key thing that's pretty cool about React Native. It uses React and JavaScript during development and the build process, but you're not building a web page that's running on a browser on a mobile device. It's not a web page. You get a real native app that can be distributed by app stores and run natively on mobile devices. With React Native, the UI gets compiled to real native code, so all of the UI elements like text and buttons and such will be the native equivalents depending on which platform you're running on. While this is super convenient, it gives a bit of a trade-off. We get better performance than if we were to use, say, a wrapper and a web view that doesn't compile actual native code, but it can make things a bit more difficult because we're not just using the standard HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that most people would be used to with web development. We don't use CSS or normal HTML elements at all, and we can only use the elements of JavaScript that are supported by React Native. Before we get into how React Native actually works, let's look at a couple of the pros and cons as to why you might use React Native in the first place. What we do with React Native is essentially build apps that can be tailored to iOS or Android without writing any Swift or Java code. That's what gives React Native its catchphrase, learn once, write anywhere. We can learn the technology one time and then write apps that work for both iOS and Android. So this is basically React Native's main advantage, is that it's one framework that works on multiple platforms. This also makes it fast to build because there's shorter development time to launch both an iOS and an Android application when you only need to write code once. However, this flexibility doesn't come without some trade-offs. React Native doesn't provide a library of pre-designed, pre-styled components that are built specifically for iOS or Android, so we kind of have to style and compose the core components on our own. However, React Native is based on JavaScript, which gives us access to the largest package ecosystem out there, NPM. So there is an extensive base of packages that we can use with React Native, and there's only going to be more in the future.
All right, thanks for the intro, Jonah. So we can get started by going to the React Native website and clicking Get Started right here to see how in just a few commands you can have your own app live and running. So we can start by copying this first line here and just head to your terminal. To download the Expo CLI, which we'll use to launch the app. Now that Expo is done loading, we can go ahead and create our project. So let's go ahead and name it anything you'd like. For our uses, we'll call it Expo Demo. So now we can choose a template. For our app, we decided to use the tabs example, which will have several screens such as links and helping and home screen functionality. So go ahead and choose that. It just requires you to pick a name. For this case, let's just go with something generic like Expo app. Okay, now that that is done loading, let's go ahead and open up the app using Expo. So it'll automatically open up in your browser, but of course you have the option of using the command line interface as well. In the command line, you can either type in I to open up an iPhone emulator or A to open up your Android emulator. So from the website, we can go ahead and click Run iOS Simulator to bring up the emulator. Or alternatively, you could download the Expo app on your mobile device and use the camera to open it up using the QR code. which will load as seen here. And of course, same thing is shown in the emulator.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Let's take a quick look at the application that was auto-generated before we go deeper into the application that we created for ordering pizzas. So the first thing we'll notice is that this application has three main tabs. We've got Home, Links, and Settings. And in the code for the application, those correspond to these three screen files. There's a bunch of other settings and style options that are auto-generated as well, which we won't get into right now. So let's open up this home screen code and take a look at it. It imports a bunch of components from React Native that are built into the React Native environment, and it also imports one custom component from the components folder here. Those components are then used and rendered with different images, text, and other components within them. One of the really cool things about this setup is that we can make edits and automatically reload them. So if we see this text get started by opening, and we go find that in the main home tab here, get started by opening. If we change that text, it will, and then save the file, we can automatically update the application and see what it looks like quickly. So we simply save the file, the simulator reboots. Don't forget to subscribe. And there you have it, my new text. So this is basically the code that we generated to start our pizza ordering application. And now we're going to switch gears and take a look at that code and the application that we built. Gatorade in a can? So good. So let's take a look at the application that we built. We're going to navigate to the repository here and open up the code. Similar to the automatically generated code, you'll see that we have this folder of screens. And the navigation works a little bit different in our application than it did in the tab example previously. So let's fire up the simulator and check out how it works. Similarly, we're going to run npm start here, and that will open up the web browser Expo Developer Tools tab. We're going to run it on iOS Simulator because iPhone for life. And I'm going to take a quick break while the simulator loads.
Thanks, Jonah. All right, I'm going to take us through the app we made. All right, here's the home screen where we have the, we uploaded some data in our API. So we have our stores displayed here with the name and address. I'm going to select Jesus Crust. All right, so here's our menu page with a list of pizzas on the menu belonging to that store I selected, as well as a build your own pizza section. So let's try and add a pizza here. All right, so I didn't select a size for my pizza, so it pops up with a little error message here to remind me. So let's select a Supreme medium pizza. Add that. Oh yeah, and we also have our current specials displayed here. A 555 deal and a 2 large 25% off. All right, let's add another medium pizza. All right, let's try and build a custom pizza as well. Mushroom, sausage, pepper. enter a name for our pizza here. Add. Okay, so we didn't select crust. Select crust there. Didn't select a size. All right, so add pizza. All right, let's view order. All right, so we have our pizzas here. We can also remove a pizza if we want to. So I removed the Supreme. Let's add a meat lovers. Medium. And go back to our order. Okay, so it shows the prices and the subtotal here. And also we qualified for one of the specials. It's 3 medium pizzas, the 555 deal. So it asks here, would you like to apply the special? And so if we hit apply, it updates the price, 50% off discount to each of the pizzas and gives us an updated price here. All right, let's proceed to checkout. So this is where we enter our customer information. Actually, yeah, let's start. If we try and submit, it will give us an error message as well. Also, this phone number box says invalid until we reach the required number of characters. Right. And 16-digit credit card number. All right, so let's try this. Let's put in an invalid date, 2018. So it says you're invalid. So change it to 2020. And then CVV, which is 3 numbers. And all right, so we're going to submit this customer info, which will attach it to the order. All right, and here is our receipt, where the customer name is displayed here, as well as the date the order was made, the store that we're ordering from, and then a list of the pizzas here. It's their original prices with the total, and then also the total after the special was applied here, down below. Yep. And we have a track your order button here. We didn't end up implementing, but in the future sometime. All right, that's our app. Thanks.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to go into our full code today, so we're going to provide a link to the GitHub repo in the description below. So make sure to hit that link, smash that like button, and if you like it, subscribe.
We're the Three Amigos. I'm Dan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Jonah, and thanks for tuning in.